Hi, thank you so much. So, I am standing on the beach, looking out into the open water, and my first thought is, what the fuck are you about to do? I start to panic, hyperventilate, and I scream at the top of my lungs, I can't do this! I am terrified. I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life. Was I going through a midlife crisis? Or maybe I just wanted to do something big before I turned 35. But regardless of the reason, becoming a triathlete was the dumbest idea I had ever had. Man, I didn't know what to do. But before jumping in head first, there was a lot to consider. I wasn't in the best shape. I wasn't a runner, didn't know how to swim, and I couldn't ride a bike. Kind of needed those things in order to participate in a triathlon. But in spite of all of that, I was determined to conquer the Iron Girl Triathlon of 2013. My teammates and I, we trained every single day after work. But even with that, I didn't have any faith in myself whatsoever. But I'd be damned if I wasn't going to look good trying. So I bought a wetsuit, a tri-suit. I had a helmet with some really cool gloves to match. I bought butt pads and some great sunglasses. And I had this really nice runner's belt that had these really cute water bottles. I was looking professional and I was ready. The night before the triathlon, my teammates and I, we met in Sandy Hook, New Jersey for some much needed carb loading. And that night we made a pact. We were going to stick together. Easier said than done, especially, during the calm before the storm. The next morning we headed out at the crack of dawn. And as I squeezed my fat ass into that wetsuit, my anxiety shot through the roof. I was so scared. I watched as my teammates rushed into the water, one after another. I don't know what happened to the whole one for all for one thing, but it is what it is. As I looked to them, I slowly turned around in the opposite direction because I was ready to hightail it out of there, when my coach grabbed my hand and said, no. You have worked too hard for this. I looked at her for a really long moment, felt like forever. And I thought to say, bitch, are you crazy? But instead, I said, fuck it, and dove in head first and swam for my life. About halfway through, I remember floating on my back, and I looked up at the bright sky and thought, white light, come and get me. I am ready to go. Come take me. They had put this low jack on my ankle to track my movements. And I later learned that I had been swimming in this zigzaggy motion. So what was supposed to be a half a mile swim ended up being a mile and a half. After 54 grueling minutes, I crawled out of the water with tears streaming down my face. I stripped off the wetsuit and I hopped on my bike. Now, I had trained a long time for this ride, but for some reason, I just couldn't figure out how to fucking turn. I started on the 10-mile ride and I thought I was going at a moderate pace when all I heard was on your left, because I was actually riding pretty slow. I get to the turn and now I have to do this whole plant your feet on the ground and walk yourself around, which was kind of embarrassing. I get 4 miles in and I am excited. And then I fall flat on my ass. I guess I was a little too excited. My coaches run over and they're like, Gabby, what do you want to do? And I whispered, fuck, I just want to finish. So they helped me back on the bike and I rode or waddled the rest of the way. I threw my bike on the ground and I wiped the blood off my leg and I got ready for this 3.5-mile run. I was exhausted. Horrible swim, painful ride. I just didn't have the energy. But I had a strategy. I planned to start strong and to end strong. Whatever happened in between was nobody's business. So I listened to my supporters as they screamed and they cheered for me. And I pushed so hard, took everything in me and ran as if my life depended on it. When they were out of earshot and I was out of view, I started to walk. At mile marker 3.45, I pushed again and ran as hard as I could over that finish line. When my husband finally found me in the first aid tent, he walked over to me, gave me this great big hug and said, "Honey, you are amazing. I am so proud of you. You inspire me every day. But in the time that it took you to finish the swim, the girl who won the triathlon actually finished all 3 events in that same amount of time." I had to let him know that his motivation skills needed a little bit of work. But in the end, I finished 1,133rd place in 1,170 people. So that means that I only beat 40 people, which actually was okay. I was totally cool with that because I never set out to win this thing. All I wanted to do was cross the damn finish line. And I did it. And I have this awesome picture to show for it.